Hi, Wafa here. I'm back with another career interview with another super interesting guest. Today, I have Vernon Henry. He's a director in technology at RBC. He arrived as an immigrant in Canada at an early age before adolescence, and he managed to carve a path for himself in the corporate world and to rise to become a director without prior formal Ivy League education, as he liked to call it. How? Because of his network and his mentors. Vernon will teach us the art of networking, but in a genuine and effortless way, without you feeling that you're networking, with you just feeling like you're being you. So whether you feel uncomfortable or awkward at building a network and asking for referrals for a future job, or asking for mentors to help you level up your skill sets, Vernon will cover it all, so keep watching. Vernon, please introduce yourself.
I'm Vernon Henry. As you mentioned, I'm currently a director with RBC Capital Markets. I've been in this industry for over 20 years, having started with a small brokerage. I've been able to work with, a small company where I took on many roles and wore many hats and had many responsibilities. I had the opportunity to work with a vendor and so be client facing and interacting with clients and helping to address their needs. Now with a top global bank in their technology group supporting the business and now supporting technology broadly. So fortunate that I've enjoyed a wealth of experience and diversity in my career.
Not only you did not have a linear path, but also you got every opportunity sort of by chance, if I may say, and I will let you expand on that. So please highlight the different phases of your career and how they happened.
I mean, it's interesting. I got into capital markets definitely by chance. It was not the goal, not the target. I was actually working in technology for a call center firm, doing something that had nothing to do with capital markets or finance. It was just a chance meeting with an individual who had an opportunity at a small brokerage. Well, I say small, but truly they had offices in Toronto, New York, New Jersey, London, Frankfurt. So, but I got an opportunity with a broker, and honestly, I brought no experience to the role from a finance point of view. I was a programmer at the time. I had a great meeting with an individual, Alan Law, and he just decided to take a chance on me. He saw something in me. I was a young kid. He saw something in me. He thought he could work with. He thought I had potential. He took a chance on me, and yeah, I was able to break into this industry. It was definitely unexpected, but set me on a course that's led me 20 some odd years later to where I am today as a director with RBC.
You describe yourself as this immigrant kid with no formal education that companies were looking for at the time when you first started. And you then explained that your first role was obtained out of luck because you had this acquaintance who took a chance on you and set you up to build a 9-year career at Maple Capital.
I'm an immigrant kid. I came here, finished my schooling here, and in terms of formal education, I had the opportunity, but I didn't know what to do with myself at the time. So in the end, I didn't end up getting that formal education until later. I did complete an MBA later in life, but meeting someone who saw my potential was very important. I didn't have the letters behind my name, and I didn't have that education behind my name that spoke for me. So it was very important for me meeting someone that could see beyond the formal education. It was important that someone read my resume and decided, something's interesting here. Let me meet this person and talk to this person and see what they're about. Nowadays, computers sift through, looking for keywords in resumes, and we don't even get to meet people who may be strong candidates. But for me, I was very lucky in that I had that opportunity. And honestly, Alan took a chance on me. And then while I was at Maple, another fellow there became an incredibly important mentor to me, Kevin Campbell. He was the CIO, and he took me under his wing and exposed me to so many aspects of technology. So I had the opportunity to wear many hats. Kevin wasn't shy about sending me out on courses if he thought it would help me. So it was a great opportunity, and for me, introduced me to the importance of mentors and the impact that they could have on your life and on your career.
So you're sort of out of the box and you still managed to get those opportunities. Tell me more about how you marketed yourself to those people who then were able to refer you to get a position somewhere.
Honestly, I didn't really have to market myself. But while at Maple, I forged a lot of relationships. And in doing so, I was able to forge relationships with our clients, with our vendors, other people in the industry. Oftentimes we have people we deal with at work. They come into our lives at work, and I see people treating them at arm's length. They don't want to know the person. They you know they take this attitude, especially where we are the client. They take this attitude that, I'm the client, you do what I say, very, you understand what I mean? They don't treat people with just common decency and respect. And I think so when you mention, how did I get this next role, or how did I market myself, it wasn't necessarily marketing myself, but it was understanding that, you deal with people professionally, you deal with people with have a common courtesy, common decency in your approach to dealing with people, and be genuine, right? I think that's the main thing with me is, when people meet me, they're meeting me. They're not meeting a persona. They're not meeting, you know, um, Vernon, the boss or the manager, they're meeting Vernon. And so when they meet me, they know who I am. They understand who I genuinely am. And I think that's important because when people see who you are and they understand what you bring professionally as well. So I think that was a key thing for me, was just being genuine in who I am.
Tell me more about what you mean by being yourself and connecting on a genuine level with those people.
It is showing interest in a person, but genuine interest. Being professional doesn't mean having to be clinical. It doesn't mean having to be detached. The people I form bonds with, I'm genuinely interested in them. I'm genuinely interested in how they're doing. I'm interested in their family, and if they tell me something that's happened that's important to them, I'm genuinely interested in learning about it and learning about them, and why it's important to them. You know, I think there's that aspect to it that sometimes at work people are a little bit clinical, a little bit detached. They feel that professional means not getting into anything personal. I don't pry, but if someone offers, to talk about something going on in their life, I listen, and I listen intently, and I share as well, right? I share as well. So I think, it's honestly, it's when I say being genuine, it's that bond that you may have with a friend. Yes, I know it's work and it's a colleague or a client, but so the bond may not be to the same level as it would be with a friend, or you may not get to the same depth of in terms of being personal with them, but you do need to approach relationships in a similar manner.
So now I'm curious about something.
Mhm.
Step number one, be really good at your job so that everyone sees how good you are. Reputation, reputation. Number two, network with others, form bonds, listen to what they have to say, share about you as well. So builds genuine relationships. And number three, there has to be a third step there, because you don't go from starting this new job and then 9 years later having people refer you to other positions of your career defining positions, just because you grabbed coffee with them for 9 years and because you were good at what you did. What's
Yeah.
going on there? There's a missing link.
You have to, well, I mean, you have to be proactive, right? You have to take charge of your career. And having all of these opportunities at Maple, it you know, I should be clear that it wasn't just that um, these were given to me. These weren't handed to me. They didn't, people didn't all just start throwing more things at Vernon. It was me seeing a need and saying, putting my hand up and saying, you know what, I'm interested. I'd like to learn about that. I'd like to take on that responsibility. What do I need to do to become proficient? How do I go about it? And taking those steps to become proficient. There has to be an aspect of taking charge of your relationships. Sometimes an opportunity is put in front of you, but if you don't reach out and seize that opportunity, it passes you by, and it may never come back, right? So when I went from SunGuard to RBC, again, not a role I applied for. Um, you know, uh, in fact, at that time I hadn't updated my resume. I needed to update my resume, but it was someone calling me, and reaching out to me and saying, hey, there's a potential opportunity. We haven't been able to find the right person, but you may be a good fit if you're interested. Now, I'd only been at SunGard for 3 years. I spent 9 years at Maple, so you see, I'm not a person that necessarily moves around that much. Maybe I hadn't done everything there that I wanted to, um, but I don't control the timing of opportunity. It comes at you when it comes at you. And so I took that step to pursue that RBC opportunity. And I'm glad I did. It's turned into 12 years now that I've been here, arriving as a BA and working my way up, to being in a few months, actually, just the manager of that group, an associate director, and now a director, right? And every step of that way at RBC, I mean, it's been being proactive about my career. To answer your question, definitely perseverance and being proactive, and taking charge of your career. That would be a third point. But if I can throw in that fourth point, to really grow your career and advance, it's being willing to take responsibility and make decisions, right? So when everyone else is shying away from it, stepping forward and making that decision. And I will give you a fifth one, and that's being accountable. In my roles, I can't tell you the number of times I've been in the room or on the phone, um, really taking the heat or taking that negative reaction, for something that's occurred, a deployment that didn't go well, uh, a bug that was found in the system, an error because it's impacted the business, right? Whether I did it or not, and most often it wasn't me doing it directly, but you have to be willing to be accountable. My responsibility is to, as the manager, as the leader of the team, is to step in front of the team and and take any negative energy that's coming our way. Sometimes people just need to get it off their chest. They're upset, something's gone wrong. They just need to get it off their chest. There's nothing personal behind it. So I'll take that, and in doing that, I earn their respect because they see me. They know I didn't do it, but they see me stepping up and taking responsibility for a mistake that's happened, and they appreciate that. They give me credit for that.
I hear that the key message from this whole segment about how do we get referred to another job from our network. Yes, it's about being candid and genuine with them, building a relationship, being really good at your job, but it's also to demonstrate what you're capable during the highs and the lows, because people watch, they observe, and when they respect you and like you enough, they feel like they're confident enough to refer you to another opportunity. That's what I'm hearing. How true is that?
I think it's very true. I think it's very true.
I wonder, how do you manage to create genuine connections, a genuine network that doesn't feel like it's transactional, where you don't feel like you're clingy, you're asking too much, or you're bothering people? How do you make sure that there's this quality relationship and that naturally develops over the years, so that in the end, when you do need something, you can pick up the phone, make a call, and get referred somewhere or get an opportunity somewhere, or vice versa?
Truthfully, I I don't think I honestly don't think I'm good at networking, in the traditional sense, because I don't set out to network. Um, I build relationships, and so networking isn't just about, um, you know building your career. For me, it's also, there's a broader aspect to it. It's how can I help you, um, in your work? How can I help you accomplish what you have to do? How can you help me? But it's again, it's not transactional, because that's not the foundation of our relationship. Our relationship was founded, it's founded on a genuine interest in each other. So I think for me, networking, you mentioned, how do you avoid it becoming transactional? For me, it's because it doesn't start out as I don't start out looking at this person as, I need to make that connection because this person can help me down on, they can help me out down the line. My connections, my network is built on genuine relationships. And so from there, the networking aspect, if you want to call it that, is something that's built on top of that.
And what if you don't get along with that manager that's higher level than you. There's no vibing, nothing resonates. So then you just choose to not network.
No, not at all. I think definitely you do network up. Now, if you don't get along with someone personally, right? This is where your professional has to speak volumes, right? Because at the end of the day, you are at work. You may be the nicest person in the world, right? If I don't believe that you can do the job, I will not hire you. So getting along, it helps. It absolutely helps. But if you can tell that your personalities don't mesh, right? You have to be self-aware enough to realize that. You also have to, again, take a step back. Don't take it personally. Be exceptional in your work, because a great leader is not going to ignore you because they don't mesh with you personally. At the end of the day, they want to surround themselves with excellent people. If I surround myself with a team of excellent people who do excellent work, I look excellent myself because my team is doing exceptional work.
Tell me more about how do you nurture your network year after year after year?
Nurturing the network doesn't mean just speaking, it's just speaking about work. It depends on the relationship you have with folks. Um, but taking that opportunity, just reaching out to someone, picking up the phone, calling them, scheduling a Zoom meeting just to say hello is probably, I mean, the most basic thing you can do, but probably the most effective thing you can do as well, because people appreciate that personal connection and that person and the concern being shown. So I think reaching out, making the effort to reach out, people appreciate that.
You see, this is where I really wonder what's the truth behind this in real life, because sometimes when you just want to say hi and it's genuine, people may take it as it's a waste of time in their day because it's not bringing them something immediate, or why is he or she reaching out to me? They want something. And that can be a bit frustrating. You reach out, all you want to do is nurture your network, really genuinely be interested in hearing about them, sharing about you. You're open to helping them at any point in time when there's an opportunity, and vice versa. But when they're not receptive, when you ask question, hey, what are you up to at work or in private life, they give clinical responses because they, in the back of their head, they think they need something from me. I don't have time for this. What is this even for? How can we get around that?
So, I mean, those situations definitely exist. But part of it is understanding the relationship you have with a person. If I pick up the phone and I call you, it's because I'm comfortable calling you and I believe you'll be receptive to that phone call. Now, if you're not receptive to the phone call initially, I have to have the emotional intelligence to perceive that. Then it's on me to realize that and to end the call, to simply state, hey, just wanted to check in. Sounds like maybe I've caught you at a bad time, but just genuinely wanted to see how you're doing. It's been a while. I know we haven't had a chance to go for coffee. So just wanted to say hello. Definitely feel free to give me a call. Um, you know, um, if there's a better time for you, right? Always nice to hear from you. And you let it go. So you state your intention. You let them know you don't, so you don't say, I'm not calling to get something from you. You don't say that, but you state your intention. Just wanted to say hello, see how you're doing. It's been a while. We don't have an opportunity to go for coffee or anything anymore. So just wanted to reach out and see how you're doing. But sounds like it's a bad time. So maybe we can catch up at another time. And you end the call, right? So state your intention, but then end the call, because maybe, it may not be that they don't know why you're calling. It may genuinely just be a bad time, right? And if they thought that you were calling to get something from them, right? Well, you've given them your reason for calling and you've ended it. So that takes that away. Pay attention to the other person, see how they're receiving you. And if they're receptive, that's great. Have a great conversation. If they're not receptive for whatever reason, again, sometimes someone's just having a bad day, right? Just tell them why you called and tell them, you'd be glad to talk at another time, right? And you move on.
And ultimately, we cannot force those interactions if they're not receptive.
Absolutely not. You can't force it. You know not everyone you meet is going to get along with you. Not everyone you meet is going to be interested in having any sort of personal relationship outside of work. There are people that I know that barely want to speak to you professionally. They prefer email. right? So you have to have some level of emotional intelligence to understand um, you know people and how they want to interact with you, who is willing to interact with you. Don't take it personally. You've called. If they're not interested, they're not interested. Don't take it personally, right? Because I think when you start to take things personally, one, you don't want these interactions and any negative interaction to impact um, your self-esteem or your self-worth, right? So don't take it personally. Um,
You mentioned having had the opportunity of meeting mentors in your professional path. How do we find a mentor?
Sometimes, if you're lucky, sometimes mentors cross your path. Um, Other times you do have to be a little bit proactive and go looking for a mentor. You often have to put yourself out there a little bit. The first thing is finding someone that has the right qualities to be a mentor. You want to find someone who aligns to what you're seeking from your career. You have to decide, what is it you're looking for mentorship on. Is it career path? Is it leadership skill, leadership attributes? So the first thing is identify what you're looking for. The second thing is identifying those qualities or those attributes in a person. Then the third thing is to approach that person. And again, be honest in your reasons for approaching them. I admire what you've done in your career, um, and I'm hoping that you'd be open to taking me on, as my, as being my mentor, and helping me understand how I can position myself to start on the path to achieving some of those same things. But at the end of the day, if I go back to that original question, finding the mentor, yes, you have to recognize and see in someone the qualities you're looking for, right? But then you have to ask. You have to ask them to be your mentor, right? Or, I mean, as I said, I've been part of formal mentorship programs. Asking someone to be your mentor can be as simple as joining, if your company has a mentorship program, putting yourself forward to join that mentorship program. You're saying, I want to be mentored, right? And then they may go through a process to match you with an appropriate mentor, right? If there's no formal process or formal program in place, that's not a problem. You see someone that you think has the qualities you're looking for, have the courage to ask them. And I say courage because it can be a scary thing, especially if it's not someone that you interact with regularly, right? So, if it's not someone you interact with regularly, that's fine, but have the courage to ask them. Tell them why it is, what qualities it is you see in them, and why you think they'd be a good mentor for you. You do have to state why you want them to be your mentor. So it's not a random person. It's someone that even if you don't have a deep personal connection with, you definitely have interacted with them or have been around them to see what it is they do, right? And so you want to be able to say to them, you know, for example, I've recently taken on a leadership role, and I'd like to continue to develop my leadership attributes and my leadership skills. I really admire how you lead your group. I've seen you on the town halls, and I've seen how you interact with um, with your team, and I think I can learn a lot from you. I'm hoping you'd be willing to be my mentor.
It's so clear that whether in networking or seeking for a mentor or job hunting, the laying foundation is to believe that you have something to give and that you're valuable first.
Absolutely, absolutely. Honestly, if you don't believe that, why are you asking for a mentor? You have to believe in yourself, because the mentor's not going to pull you up. The mentor's not going to do your job for you. They're not going to lay out your career path for you. They may open doors. Some mentors absolutely will help open doors for you, right? But the reality is, you need to believe in yourself. You need to know that you have value and you have worth, and you see yourself going further.
That's huge. Because what makes networking and seeking for a mentor very awkward at times is to think that you need others. So you don't have enough to give. You need them to be someone, to become someone, to go to some places, versus the way you've been explaining this is, yeah, I may not know everything, so I'm going to need my network to help me, give me some tools, inspiration, recommendations, etc. But I'm proficient, I'm valuable, I'm competent at this. Let's connect and see what value comes both ways out of this relationship. This is truly
Absolutely.
what I'm getting from everything you've been sharing with me so far.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you do have something to give the mentor, but I'm just in the broader sense, understanding and believing in yourself and knowing that you have something to give. You're looking for that mentor to help you understand how you take, how do I bring that out of me? How do I develop and put myself in a position where I can share? So you have to understand what it is you're seeking to get from the mentor, right? You may get more, but you at least need to come to that relationship with an idea of what you're looking to get from that mentor, and be serious about it. So when you show up to that first meeting, come ready with some questions. If you have a list of 10 questions and you only get to 2, that's okay, but come ready with something to start that dialogue and start that relationship off on the right foot, and have it head in the direction you want it to head in.
What are the logistics of having a mentor? Do you invite them to do weekly calls, monthly calls? How do you ask without taking too much of their time or feeling like you're adding on to their plate?
Well, listen, at the end of the day, you are adding on to their plate, absolutely, but you can't approach it that way, because if they agree to be your mentor, they are willing to take on that additional um, time, effort, and dedicate it towards you. In terms of how much time to ask for, I've generally gone about it the other way. I will maybe take an approach similar to what you just mentioned. Say, I appreciate you agreeing to be my mentor, and look forward to having conversations with you. But I do recognize that you're likely very busy. So, please let me know when you would like to meet, and how often. I will do my best to work around your schedule. But, mentorship, by the way, is a two-way street, right? Mentorship is a two-way street. As the mentee, if you will, the person being mentored, right? You're giving something to the mentor as well. I've taken part in formal mentorship programs that are offered here at RBC, where I've acted as a mentor to junior resources, and I absolutely get something from it. Absolutely get something from it. Sometimes it's just a personal relationship that I'm building my network and extending my network, right? Other times it's new ways of doing things. You're dealing with, I'll tell you something, there are fresh ideas, they've been exposed to new ways and new thoughts on how to tackle old problems. And so as the mentor, I definitely take something from those relationships as well. They enrich me and help broaden my understanding and my knowledge. So it's a two-way street, right? So I think it's important to understand that when you approach a mentor, understand that yes, you are asking something of them, but a true mentor is going to recognize that, hey, yes, it's I will be giving something to you, but I know I will receive as well.
I love that. Thank you so much for your insights today, Vernon. What's your final word?
Absolutely be courageous. It takes courage to approach someone that you may not have. You may have a relationship or have interacted with them, but maybe you don't have a great friendship or great relationship with them in that way. It takes courage to approach someone and ask them to be your mentor, right? And ask them to give you of their time and their knowledge and their experience to help make you better, right? So yeah, I think that's what I would say to people is you know at the end of the day, your career is in your hands. You have to own it. You have to take it forward. You have to be proactive with it, and you have to be courageous. Thank you, Afa. This was a pleasure. I appreciate you, and I appreciate how comfortable and at ease you made me feel. So thank you for that.
I hope you enjoyed this video and that it was insightful to you. Remember this, when it comes to networking or asking for a mentor or even job hunting, no need to get lost in too many formalities. Be you. What matters the most is how much you believe in the value you bring to the table and how you're able to demonstrate it to others around you, whether you're doing it on purpose or not. And so Vernon today taught us that he was able to demonstrate the value he brought to the table as a professional, but also as an individual in his day-to-day interactions effortlessly, by just being himself, by grabbing coffee chats, by working really hard on the job, by taking the heat whenever something was not going according to plan, or by celebrating his teams and his own victories when everything was working well. The bottom line is he was himself all along the way, and through that, recommendations and support and referrals from others should come naturally. And if not, ask. Feel free to be courageous as he recommended. I've learned so much personally from this interview and his insights. I hope you did too. And if you did, give this interview and video a good like and subscribe to my channel for more interviews like this and more content. See you soon. Bye.